Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen. First, a shout out to Ashley Davidson of Wakefield. I'm told he's the biggest fan ever of Let's Talk Sports, and we need all the fans we can get. First, a little story about Alex Collins from Plantation, Florida. He got his letter of intent to sign as a running back for the University of Arkansas, and his mother intercepted the letter and wouldn't let him fax it back. She didn't want her little boy to go over to play for the Razorbacks.
Where's he going?
Well, the good news was that apparently they got it back, and all is well. He and his father signed and faxed it back, so he'll be a Razorback after all.
Well, they have a good program. I mean,
absolutely. Florida has a lot of great football there, and I think Mom wanted her little boy, who's like 5'10", 200, to play in Florida.
Well, he's going to play against Florida, Alabama, LSU. They're in the same conference.
Right. They'll have a great schedule, and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Well, this week the poll of the most hated athletes in sports came out, and I had no idea who's going to be the most hated athlete, and I was kind of shocked it was Lance Armstrong.
I was going to say A-Rod.
Well, the whole list, which is worth its own discussion, is Lance Armstrong, Manti Te'o, Tiger Woods, Jake Cutler, Metta World Peace, A-Rod, Michael Vick, Kyle Busch, Kobe Bryant, and Tony Romo. Now, what's Romo's problem? He fumbled an extra snap.
He doesn't come through in the clutch.
Yeah, but I mean, if we hated everybody who didn't come through in the clutch, our list would go on and on and on.
I would say world peace myself. Tiger Woods, I don't know if he's the most hated. I mean, people either love him or hate him. They all want him to win. I still believe that. I like to see him and Mickelson. I like to see them in the leaderboard.
Yeah, well, he had injuries, and obviously he has, some personality problems, and you certainly wonder, in development, there's a certain time when people go through, usually in teenagers, when they have struggles, they want to have more freedom, independence, etc., sometimes teenage crises, and when they don't have that, usually it happens at a little later point in their life. And Tiger Woods certainly went through a pretty big crisis, and it cost him hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as a lot of fans and respect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, being married and having, 15 girlfriends? That's not too smart.
I think that's a conservative estimate. So, but
Vic, you gotta, I'm all about forgiving at times. I mean, animal lovers, and I have a dog and a cat, and animal lovers, I don't know if they'll ever forgive him, but I mean, if he's sincere about it, I know he's worked for them now, and he's trying to help things out. So I don't know. I mean, I don't hate the guy.
Well, obviously I don't know anything about dog fighting, and none of us are going to recommend illegal activity, and none of us are going to get on the other side of any negative discussion about animals. That's a sure way to go south.
But someone like him, do you think he's more mean, or he's just something's wrong with him? To me, something has to be wrong with a person that backs something like that.
Well, I think that there's certain elements that animal fighting, cockfighting, dog fighting, I'm not talking about turtle racing, has been a sport that's enjoyed some popularity in certain areas. I mean, we can't relate to it and think it's cruel, and why would anybody ever do that? And we think the people involved are all bad people in some way. And he did his time. He went to jail.
Right.
On the other hand, if there's some episode of human cruelty that we see every day, if they show one guy beating up another guy on a clip on the news, nobody calls in and says, oh, that's a tragedy. If you showed a guy beating up a dog, there'd be 10,000 people calling in, and that's a bad thing too. But we as individuals sometimes we can lose perspective of what's important. And anyway, tough. And as far as somebody like Kobe Bryant's had his own personality issues too. Great player. I mean, he's won 5 championships. It's not like he hasn't done anything. So sometimes hatred is just jealousy.
Yeah, when you're in his situation, he thinks he can do things that other people can't get away with it.
Oh, they can't. He did.
Yeah, and he did get away with it. You're right.
So, and to me, the underlying issue with performance-enhancing drugs isn't always just cheating records, cheating statistics. There are a lot of other guys in the minor leagues who never make it to the big show, who they're the ones who get cheated because some of them didn't take performance-enhancing drugs and they don't get their shot.
Right. And all the money these other people are making, they're seeing that. But the A-Rod's the biggest disgrace in all the sports.
Well, you look at, obviously we're getting close to spring training opening and we're hearing about teams settling with their players. Take Jacoby Ellsbury. Now, last year he made $8 million. He played half the season, and when he played, he wasn't terribly effective. 4 home runs, OPS less than 700. He got $1 million raise. What do you get $1 million raise for being terrible and hurt?
And imagine if he was a free agent, what he would have gotten compared to what these other guys are getting.
Right, and so if he can stay healthy this year, hit 20 homers, 80 RBIs, and steal 30 bases, he'll probably get his $18, $20 million a year.
And it's going back to the way it was 10 years ago, Ron. These owners, if they see any talent at all, any possible talent, a guy that can help, maybe able to help them, they're going to give him 14, 15 million if he has some talent.
Well, you probably saw today, Felix Hernandez, Felix the King from Seattle, signed a 7-year, 175, or going to be 7-year, $175 million contract. Well, you're a pitcher. His arm could go in spring training. Okay, well, then he can get Tommy John surgery or whatever. Well, what if it's his shoulder?
They must be looking at how many more people come in when he pitches. You got to get 10,000 more fans there in Seattle when he pitches. So they're figuring that way, hey, we're going to make up for it if he stays healthy. They're probably going to insure him anyway, Ron. Right.
Well, and then I don't know whether it included any no trade
Right.
or sometimes the players' contracts have limited trade. Players can only be traded to a certain number of teams or specifically not traded to other teams, or they get extra money if they get traded, whole lot of different things. Curt Schilling today announced that he was in a conversation in the Red Sox clubhouse where a member of the Red Sox organization, whom he said specifically was not a uniform member, meaning a player or coach, and not a baseball operations person, engaged him in a conversation about whether taking PEDs might help him return to be able to pitch again. And he said this was in a very public discussion in the middle of the clubhouse, and he said he felt tremendously uncomfortable with that discussion.
And when you look at him, too, you don't know what's happening. He's bringing that out. He knew Ortiz and Ramirez were on and whoever else. He knows, everybody knew how much it was helping the two of them. I mean, the Red Sox got 2 world championships because of, performance-enhancing drugs. Same with the Yankees.
Well, he said it wasn't uniform personnel or baseball operations. Jed Hoyer came out, the Cubs GM after Epstein, and said it wasn't Theo or him. So I don't know if it was medical staff or whomever, but I can't imagine it. Well, I shouldn't say that. I can't imagine a medical person saying, gee, we can make you better by doing X, and your career is going nowhere without Y. And I hate to think that doctors would recommend that, but remember the old movie North Dallas 40? I mean, players were always getting shot up with something.
But when you heard that news, Ron, did you go, wow? I heard the news and I said, big deal. It's in every clubhouse. I mean, it didn't shock me when that news came out.
The only thing that was surprising to me that people would openly talk about it in the clubhouse as opposed to in another venue where they kept it quiet.
But except for even with the Patriots, I'm starting to get through. I really like them, but I'm not into the Patriots as much as I'm into high school sports or youth sports. I mean, I've really turned. I mean, I always loved pro sports. I mean, I'm a big Celtic fan. I still watch the games. I'm going to watch them tonight against the Lakers. I like what they're doing without Rondo. But pro sports now and those performance-enhancing drugs, I mean, it's really kind of shutting me off. I mean, baseball especially. I just get a bad feeling now when I hear baseball. And I used to love when spring training started.
Well, there's a certain Alice in Wonderland quality to it all where, just take a pill to do this or take a cream to do that. And what the fans think doesn't really matter. What your peers think doesn't really matter. It's as long as you can get paid, anything is in the realm of possibility. As well as we talked about before, the law doesn't seem to apply to you necessarily with respect to how you treat other people. And a coach that we coached with for a long time, Mark Pearson, always used to say that to the kids, most important thing is how you make other people around you feel.
That's right, and you see it with the the innocence from those kids. Now you just see it, and then you look at this baloney that's going on, especially with baseball's got to watch out, Ron. I really believe it. They better watch out because a lot of fans are getting turned off by that, well, and they just don't. I mean, I'm not as excited as I used to be.
Well, a lot of season ticket holders apparently were not renewing this year, and the Red Sox last year, their level of play was pretty much at the early 1960s level, where they would win anywhere from 62 to 76 games, and the quality of the baseball was pretty poor. The only difference was they have huge salaries now, and guys were at that point, making chump change. I think Dick Raddatz, who was an outstanding relief pitcher in his day, was making something like $15,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, how about Mickey Mantle? What was he making at one time? $100,000. If he made $100,000, that was big at one time. And now these guys, you just see it and you shake your head. Upton getting how much? 15 million.
Right.
It's a Victorino. What did he get from the Red Sox? Did he get 13?
13. And a guy like Youkilis, who is on the downside of his career, he's clearly on the back nine. I think he's getting 12 from the Yankees, something like that. Now he may have an okay year, but and I know what the players say. That's what the going rate is, and if you or I could do that, we could get that kind of dough too. Now, in the extension of the biogenesis PED crisis in Florida, more and more names are coming out. Francisco Cervelli, the Yankees catcher, is also one of the people whose name. Now, we don't know to what extent he's involved. He may only be, doing courier work for them, riding a bicycle around Miami to deliver packages. I don't know.
Dealing with other players. Maybe he's a middleman. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, he's not really. And then 220 hitter.
Former MVP Ryan Braun from the National League, whose urine sample, somehow the testosterone jumped from the air into his urine specimen, but the chain of custody was flawed and he was exonerated. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but now his name is in the books at Biogenesis. Again, he and his attorney claim that he was only using them as consultants.
Right, when he got into trouble.
Which that may be the case. We don't know. On the other hand, when you keep showing up with such suspicious characters, it starts to shed a certain light on you.
That's another reason why a lot of us are just getting down on baseball. Football, they kind of let it go by because of it's a sport where people are getting hurt all the time. So, I mean, they let that slide, but that's even bad, right? I mean, 90% of those guys have to be on it. Well,
and nowadays, when you go to spring training, I am told the prices for tickets they're not, you're not paying $5 or $6 for a seat at a spring training game. I think the average cost of a ticket in a Red Sox games, they said, I think 3/4 of the tickets are less than $49 a seat. Well, it's practice games with minor leaguers playing half the time.
Years ago, you didn't pay anything, really. You get in $5 to get in those games. Now they're making big money on them.
And obviously the teams spend a lot of money on big complexes. They have a stadium, JetBlue Park, I guess, in Fort Myers that mimics Fenway Park. It's big business for the communities. It's big business for the teams, and I guess they probably use them all year round with minor league teams too.
Yeah, the Yankees. The Yankees are starting to, the Patriots are starting to remind me of the Yankees. I get the same feeling. Both teams don't come through in the key situations anymore, and you really think about it. I mean, the Patriots the last several years, the Yankees, both teams with a lot of talent just don't come through when it counts. And a team like Baltimore comes through, a team that's not as talented as the Patriots or San Fran, and they win the Super Bowl.
Well, let's switch gears to hockey for a moment. The Bruins are off to a great start, and they made a big deal today. Well, sort of. They traded Tim Thomas's contract. In other words, they got $5 million of salary cap space freed up, or $5 million of profit for the owners, depending on what they do with it, by trading Thomas's contract to the Islanders. The Islanders aren't going to, they're not going to play him or pay him either, but now they come up to the minimum salary cap threshold. So basically they did an accounting trade to make their numbers look better.
They didn't get anybody for him either.
No.
Tuukka Rask played a great game last night.
Well, he's
against Montreal. I mean, they're playing real good.
What are they, 6-1-1 now?
Yeah.
And you know,
Sagan got a goal, which was big, and an assist in the third quarter.
Now they're talking about that because it's a 48-game season, the players and coaches are approaching the games differently. They're taking them more seriously. Every point's important. I don't know. It seems to me that if I were going to the games, I'd hope they would take all the games seriously.
But I told you last time that it's more fun for the fans. More games, you know, and you have a 48-game schedule. Every game's big. It's just a lot more fun. You saw it last year with basketball. It was a lot of fun. They were playing. Some weeks they were playing 4 games.
Well, they have some, you know, additional firepower this year with Horton back. Horton's been playing pretty well. Now Marchand is out with, I'm not sure what exactly. To me, it looked like the goalie tripped him. It wasn't just that
Might be his shoulder.
Yeah, it wasn't just that he tripped over the side of the net. I thought the goalie stuck his leg out. They haven't really said much about that.
Well, the key to that team is going to be Sagan. If Sagan can score to 40 goals like they hope he can, maybe get 90 points, I mean, that's going to be huge.
Because
the other guys,
got 2 so far.
I know. He's got to get going, but he can get on a streak.
Well, the claim was that because he played in the Swedish professional league, that the rinks are bigger, it's wide open, it's not a lot of checking, and he was playing a different style than he's playing in Boston.
Did he get a lot of goals over there?
I want to say he had 18 goals in something like 28 games, but I might just be making that up.
But they have a good team. They have a chance to win it again. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Rask has been good, and all their defensemen.
Hamilton.
All their defensemen seem very good.
You know, Chara's having another good season. I mean, they're real solid all the way around. You know, goal scoring, sometimes they look good. You know, it looks like they have enough firepower, and then sometimes it looks like, wow, they need another goal scorer on that team.
Well, you see, remember last year, Lucic went through a spell where it seemed he must have played 20 games and at best scored a goal or 2.
Krejci too.
Right.
Krejci went through that span.
You know, so they've got a lot of players who theoretically can put up big numbers, but they don't always do that.
Right.
Before we get on to high school sports in detail, I want to say a little bit about a conversation I had Twitter-wise anyway with Bill Hall of ESPN Boston, and he came out apparently to see the Melrose Wakefield boys game last week and said it was just a tremendous, or this week, and said it was just tremendous atmosphere, tremendous game, and he thought the Melrose boys were really outstanding.
Yeah, the freshman scored 28 points or whatever. Harris, is it?
Harris, Sharon Harris had, I read 26 one place and 29 another place, but apparently it was 5 for 8 shooting threes, and he was just really lighting it up. And he was one of 4 players, I think, in double figures because Franzi Perot, Sam Jean Gillis, and Matt Sherlock all had double figures.
Well, he's playing with terrific high school basketball players too, so it helps Harris.
Oh, absolutely.
We haven't seen them yet, though.
Right. Well, you know, maybe someday we'll get a chance to see the boys, hopefully in the postseason.
Yeah, we made a commitment to the girls. We've been doing the girls' games for a number of years, and you know, we love that type of basketball, and so we made that commitment. But we would have liked to have seen the boys play also, maybe do some of their games.
Right, and we've seen some of them on TV without any commentary, and they're playing an exciting, defense-oriented, up-tempo game, and you know, we look forward to seeing them in the future. We'll be right back with our next segment.
At Athletic Evolution, it starts with a purpose and ends with your success. Visit our website or drop into our training facility at 78B Olympia Avenue, Woburn, Mass. Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome back. champion skier Lindsey Vonn. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about skiing. We'll talk a little bit about basketball. Obviously, we spend a lot of time watching basketball, coaching basketball, thinking about basketball. And first of all, regarding the girls team, the girls are in a dire situation right now as they lost a heartbreaker at Wakefield the other day to fall to 6-9. You need 10 wins to qualify for the postseason tournament, and they have 5 games left, including Wilmington, Stoneham, Watertown, and a tournament at St. Mary's. So they're going to need to win 4 games, and it's going to be a tough order because all those teams that they're facing, I think, will be in the tournament.
Yeah, I was really hoping that they still had a chance to make the tournament, during that tournament at the end of the year. Arlington Catholic's in that tournament, Tewksbury, and I don't know the other team. But I was really hoping. I mean, they still can do it. I mean, they can win the rest of their games, Ron. You've seen it. They beat Burlington. Out of the last 3 teams they played, Burlington was the best team by far. They beat Burlington, played a great second half. Game before they lose to Arlington, and then they lose to Wakefield.
Well, the Middlesex League girls have been totally unpredictable this year. The other night over at Lexington, Reading beat Lexington 74-34.
How did that happen?
Olivia Healy had 40 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 steals. And, obviously Reading's a superior team, defending state champion, but they lost one of their terrific players at the beginning of the year, Morgan O'Brien. Now, there was a time when Reading came into Melrose, 15-3 record, looking to teach Melrose a lesson, and Melrose won that game. I think I want to say it was around 70-35, something like that.
They had Shoemaker that year, I believe.
No, that was when they had Justine Lyons. And there was a lot of feeling like Melrose ran up the score and what's the matter with you people, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Reading just won by 40 over Lexington in a similar circumstance. I don't know, was that running up the score or not? I mean, now, our belief is our team's job is to keep the other team from scoring. And their job is not to not score because they're winning by a lot. But nonetheless, in the Middlesex League this year, you just can't predict who's going to win. Teams that are very strong, like Watertown, on a given night they've lost. But Stoneham beat Lexington. So
something had to happen with Lexington. Kelly must be hurt. Their star played a forward. Something had to happen to that team. There's no way.
But Lexington's got 3 good players: Keiko, Powers, and Kelly, the freshman.
And Reading just has Haley, from what I saw. The other girls, they'll get better and better because of the coaching.
But Haley's terrific.
Playing with Haley makes you that much better. But Haley's the best player in the state. I was thinking the other day, she may be better than the girl from Andover. Is it Boudreaux?
She might be. Boudreaux's a terrific shooter, and
Haley's strong too. On top of it,
Haley's been totally dominant. Now she's in a different situation where if she wants to score, shoot the ball every time down, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that because Reading's been kind of focused around a star player throughout the years. Shoemaker, both Lyons sisters, Mary Sylvia. They've had a lot of terrific players, but they were oftentimes I won't say a one-player band, but Melrose historically has had a little bit more balance.
Yeah, this team here, I mean, when Reading played Melrose at the beginning of the year, I mean, Haley had a real good game, especially the first half. I think she scored 28 points in the game. But the other girls just played their role. They missed a lot of shots against Melrose, an awful lot of easy shots. Haley would set them up. So I don't know if they've gotten better, but to beat Lexington by that score, I would almost guarantee that Kelly was out of the game or one of their star forwards.
Well, also there is a major brouhaha in Lexington right now, and I don't know if it's affecting the basketball program. You're all aware that because of a parent's letter to the athletic director and then the athletic director's transmission of that information erroneously to the other athletic directors, a decision was made to have separate venues. There were ostensibly alleged threats of a lawsuit that apparently was not contained in the letter to the athletic director of Lexington. We don't know if the parent communicated to them that it was her intent to sue the Middlesex League. We don't know that. There are some unknowns. But be that as it may, if you ever check out the Lexington Patch online, there is an incredible move to try to oust the athletic director, and complaining from all sides about all athletic programs in Lexington. And it all started with this letter to the athletic director leading to separate venues for basketball.
You know, and they don't understand. Number one, you know how I feel about the athletic directors voting to have it. You know, the girls play at 7 o'clock at home and the boys 7 o'clock on the road, and not have them together. Just think of this, Ron. The other night, Melrose plays at Wakefield, the girls. What'd they have? What do we count?
There were about 60 people in the stands.
60 people. So you got to figure the 40 of them of parents, you know, out of with both teams. That's happened just about all year. I remember Winchester's game, there was less. Winchester was probably like 30 people in the stands watching the game. Now, you think of this. When they played Wakefield, just think of this. They're playing at home at 5:30, the girls. That place would have been packed with the boys playing after them. There would have been 500 people watching the girls in the second half.
Playing a great game.
And the girls would have seen that. I mean, it was just a different environment. You know, the girls' game was a real good game against Wakefield, and the boys' game was a great game. I mean, that would have been an unbelievable environment, and we don't have that. None of us are able to see the boys play, number one. The girls, again, would have been in that situation where the place is packed. People would have been screaming. It would have been an unbelievable feeling for the girls. Instead, they're over in Wakefield with 60 fans there. Most of them are their parents and their brothers and sisters.
Well, it would be really wonderful to have representatives of the Middlesex League athletic directors here on this program to discuss what went on, but I can guarantee you that's never going to happen because it's a total embarrassment. Steve Pacheco's written about it in the home news here.com online, and he says attendance is way down throughout the Middlesex League partly as a result of this program, and it's really a stain on the entire Middlesex League, and the people involved really have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, and until people tell me differently, I'm blaming it 100% on the athletic directors. What kind of vote is that?
Well, we'd rather talk about something more pleasant, and right now that's the Celtics. Despite Rajon Rondo's injury, it's been a blessing in disguise. There's a lot better ball movement, a lot more people are getting involved. The Celtics won 5 in a row, including a comeback from a 10-point fourth quarter deficit against a pretty good Toronto Raptor team last night.
Yeah, you know it's funny, Ron, I told you, the people that don't love the game of basketball and don't understand the game of basketball, they're all going to say, how could you think they're a better team without Rondo? I'm not actually saying, I mean, you know how I feel about Rondo. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Out of all the players I've ever watched, and in all the years I've watched sports, I can't understand him. Sometimes I just can't stand watching him play because it's all about him, all about himself looking good. You know, and I've always said that I'd enjoy it when, better if he didn't play. And I'm enjoying these games. A lot of people are, because there's better ball movement, more cutting. But I'm not saying Rondo wouldn't fit in well with this. I blame, Ainge, and I blame Doc Rivers.
Well, it reminds me of Peyton Manning has been a great quarterback, but he's also had 8 one-and-dones in the postseason. Now, when did they win the Super Bowl? They won the Super Bowl when Joseph Adai was running the ball great and Manning didn't feel compelled to throw touchdown passes all the time because he had a more balanced offense. In the long run, do you get remembered for winning Super Bowls or just putting up big numbers? I think the answer speaks for itself. And, guys like Courtney Lee playing much better, Jeff Green playing much better, Bass is playing better. So a lot of people are playing better because the ball isn't just in Rondo's hands or Garnett's and Pierce. It's being spread around a lot more.
And a good thing, too, is, over the last few years, I've said Pierce doesn't touch the ball enough because he's really good with the basketball. Number one, he's almost 6'7". He's strong. He can break down a defense off the dribble, not as much as he used to because he's older now. He's lost a step, but he's still smart. And you see him now, they're giving him the ball in the key situations to make the original pass, and then again, they're cutting, breaking down the defense. And it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I'm enjoying these games. People say they haven't played anybody yet. Toronto's an up-and-coming team. They've been winning at home. They got a game against the Lakers tonight. But so I'm enjoying it. Let's put it that way. And I think I'm more positive about the team now than I was before Rondo got hurt because they would just steal with Rondo at point.
I mean, I think they have a better chance to be successful without Rondo, and now because they're playing better. You know, it doesn't really matter if you have a guy who's a really good player if they're not playing well within that structure.
Right. WEI interviewed Ainge today. They do every Thursday afternoon around 4:30. He's on. So and they were talking about it, and and even Ainge said, he goes, you know, you need Rondo, especially in the playoffs. The playoffs are a different game. You need Rondo, and you need that play to break down the defense, right? But I feel like calling and say, well, why can't you break down the defense the way they are breaking down the defense? You cut, move, you know, keep the offense going instead of people standing around watching Rondo dribble and having Rondo call a play for one or two people and the rest of them aren't moving. You want the defense. We tell our girls all the time about it. I said, just imagine playing someone that doesn't move on offense. You know, you have on defense and you're playing someone that doesn't move. You know, and then when they get the ball, and then they try to make a move to the basket. How easy is that?
Well, I think that
rather than chasing someone all over the court.
If you watch Lee, I mean, he has become a totally different player since Rondo's gone. The spacing is better. He gets opportunities to create for himself. But he's not a selfish player. I'm just saying that he's getting a lot more opportunity because the middle's not jammed up all the time.
Terry likes shooting off the dribble, and he's doing that now. Although last night he only took 2 shots.
Well, it'll be interesting tonight. The Lakers, you know, they've had a tough season all around. They haven't played well. Dwight Howard has been inconsistent, and Pau Gasol is out for 6 weeks now with a foot injury. But they still have Kobe Bryant. They have Howard. They have Nash. Meta World Peace. We'll see what they've got, but it should be a great game tonight.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Getting back to the girls' team, who we've seen play every game, let's talk about a couple of their players. Well, Kayla Weiland's having a tremendous year.
Well, you can't say enough about Kayla. I think yes, I'm biased, but I think Kayla is the MVP of the Middlesex Freedom Division. She's averaging almost 14 points a game now, and you know, when you get the ball into her in the low post, it's not automatic, but she's a scoring machine, especially from the spot she likes. She's played good defense. She has almost 3 blocked shots a game. She's right up there in rebounds, I think 8 rebounds a game, and just been a dominant offensive player. Now, part of the problem they face right now is they have illness and injuries. Sydney Doherty's out with a sprained ankle, and we don't know the extent of that injury. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they won't be playing tomorrow because of the snowstorm.
Yeah, and Brooke Bell, to me, she's had an all-star season at point. Right. She's had a bad heel. She had the strep, along with Kayla, who came back from strep. And Brooke, before she got strep, was playing real good basketball, has had some real good games. You know how I feel about her defensively. I don't think there's a better defensive guard in the league than her. So they have 2 all-league players.
Right, and Katie Sullivan's been making solid progress, particularly offensive rebounding. What I think sometimes all young players go through is they have to understand that every single possession, offensively and defensively, you have to play maximum intensity. And sometimes players, you know, they're working hard and they don't intentionally slack off or take a play off, but they have trouble maintaining concentration because they're a younger player.
Well, you know what else you need, Ron? You've got to love it. You know, do they have 12 players that love playing together, being on the same team, going up against a team like Lexington or Wakefield? Are they looking forward to that game in school as much as when a lot of these girls played volleyball? You know, they're not looking forward to it as much as when they were going up against a team like Canton or Central Catholic in volleyball. You know, those girls from the second they got in school, got up to that game, were looking forward to it. I mean, do they have the same feeling? I don't think so, because number one, they're not as successful as the volleyball team, but they could be successful, this basketball team. That's the one thing. I don't know if they enjoy it as much as they should. I mean, they have fun playing together, but I don't know if they really love it that much where they can't wait to get to the gym.
Right. We've talked about it before, and I've told our players, you don't play for the community or for the coach or for your parents. You play for your teammates. You know, you give everything you have so that you can each be successful together. And you know, I think our players embrace that concept, but they're still young, and whether they can advance that to the next level, time will tell.
Yeah, but you know, I'm happy with the girls. I'm a lot happier this year, and they may not make the tournament than I was the last 2 years, and they made the tournament last year. You know, they're still not where, I know they can be better. I mean, you don't play that great second half against Burlington, then lose to Arlington and lose to Wakefield.
Right. We have divergent views the way we look at the team, because we look at them as our former players, we look at them as fans, and we look at them with a critical eye as coaches. You say, if somebody doesn't block out, you say, why aren't they blocking out? Or if they're not denying a cut, or not cutting after they make a pass, you know, you have some disappointment that they're not doing everything that they can to be successful. Not because they're not interested, or not because they're not trying, just they don't always, as all players, don't always absorb all the lessons that they're given.
Yeah, and you look at this Melrose team this year, you see Coach Ferrante's trying to give everybody a chance in certain situations just to see where they are in their game. And you know the girl we love is Jill McGinnis, right. And I feel Jill should be playing 90% of the time.
Well, it's a worthy discussion. You know, for example, what role do user fees play in your playing time? Now, my argument is user fees pay for your participation in the sport. It doesn't pay for you to get playing time. You know, if you gave the coach $5,000 in an unmarked envelope, maybe that pays for more playing time, but I don't think anybody's doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, right. And but again, they have some good. We talked about it. They have the role players they have now. They're starting to find their identity. They really are. You know, it's baffling that they lost to Arlington and Wakefield. You know, but they have had the injuries. They've had the sickness with Bell and Kayla, and you know, Coach Ferrante sees the girls more than we do. But I think someone like Jill McGinnis should be in the game. She just adds that all-around floor player. She does the little things that people don't realize that we understand what it helps. You know, but you talk about, you know, but some of the other girls are getting playing time. So he needs players with experience next year also, because he's losing 5 seniors who are getting a lot of playing time. But even like someone like Ashley Baldwin had a great game 2 games ago, right, and then didn't see much action in the next game. So,
you know, and we also understand every parent wants to see their child be successful, and if a child isn't playing, then it's easy for a parent to say, well, my child's not getting a chance, and as a result, how do I know that they couldn't be successful if they did get a chance?
Right.
Conversely, if you get in the game for a minute, you're really not going to be in the flow of the game. Your chances of being successful in a cameo role are quite small, just because it takes a while to get into the flow of the game and establish the rhythm that you have.
And look what happened in Woburn the other day when we played Woburn. We coached the 8th grade girls team, and Woburn, Melrose and Woburn are the 2 top teams in the Middlesex League. We bang heads every time we played them, and we have more depth than they do, but they have a great point guard and a couple of real good big people. But parents got a little upset that some of their daughters weren't getting enough playing time, so the coach came up to me, Pete, from Woburn, and said, well, I've got to play everybody equally. That's the agreement we made, because some of the girls haven't been playing much. So you can see it affected the point guard. She wasn't happy about it.
Right.
She only played less than half the game. And what happens is we clobbered them.
Right. Normally our games are within 5, 6 points one way or the other. Very
competitive. This was 23 points, I believe.
Yeah, very competitive, fun games. And when the mandate came down to play everyone equally, which we do somewhat closely, not perfectly, it was no contest.
Yeah, and you know, and you could see that, and you kind of feel bad for the whole program. I mean, the girls are getting playing time, the other girls, but maybe playing other teams, they can compete with them. But when they went up against us, who we're a deep team, we've always said that, they've got 1 or 2 players that are tremendous. And you saw what happened when she only played half the game.
Well, we'll be right back with more Let's Talk Sports.
On and off the court, Visionary Basketball Group delivers programs that empower players with skills for athletic and personal success. Our players undergo learning experiences that position them for positive lifelong achievement on and off the court.
Hello, my name is Anthony Taylor, founder of Visionary Basketball Group, VBG. It's a year-round basketball player development organization ranging from preschool to college and professional level, girls and boys. We cater to all skill levels, starting from beginner, intermediate, and advanced. One of the biggest things that we have is our coaching staff. who do a phenomenal job at mentoring the players on a regular basis with the training, the teaching, and the knowledge. We operate 7 days a week. We offer over 30 sessions. And we're considered one of the top comprehensive basketball player development organizations in New England. And another key aspect that we do is that we have kids coming from all different areas, urban, suburban communities, uniting as one. And that's what makes VBG a phenomenal organization that helps kids gain confidence, leadership, discipline, self-esteem. And if you have a chance, come down and see what we do at Visionary Basketball Group.
VBG player athletes are rising stars in elementary, middle school, high school, and college basketball. We apply the same approach to training with every participant at VBG and produce players who are prepared for maximum performance. Visionary Basketball not only provides programs for individuals, we can also come to your town, school, or any institution to customize a structured program for your team or basketball organization. For more information, please log on to our website, www.visionarybasketball.com, or drop into our Athletic Performance Center at 152 Tremont Street, Melrose, Mass. VBG, complete your vision.
Welcome back. In the National Football League, it's about running to daylight. Except at the Superdome, sometimes there isn't as much daylight during the game as you'd like to see.
That was right after Beyonce, too.
Well, the Ravens had a terrific 34-31 victory over the 49ers, and I felt conflicted about the game because I wanted the 49ers to win before the game, but once the blackout happened, I wanted the Ravens to win because I didn't want to hear about how the blackout allowed the 49ers to win, and it was going to be the blackout bowl forever.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the game, San Fran just couldn't get it going early. You know, Crabtree drops that pass, right, in the first drive.
I think McDaniels was the offensive coordinator for the 49ers early.
They had a pass into, I mean, they threw an interception, they fumbled the ball, Baltimore got in the groove, dominated the game. They ran back to kickoff to start the second half.
But if you have first and goal on the 5-yard line of Baltimore, and you have Colin Kaepernick, aren't you going to do like a bootleg play somewhere along the line?
Yeah, but Ron, you know what they say, you don't want the refs to affect the outcome of a game. They did. What are they taught? Does anybody use their brains at times? Well, we didn't want to make, you know, you don't want the refs to make that call. Well, if he doesn't hold them, he's wide open for the pass. It's a touchdown and they win. He holds them. Now with the pass,
right.
You can see where the pass went.
Well, there's two arguments you can make. Number one, you can say he held them. He held them. Number two, you can say, if you say he didn't hold them, then it was illegal contact because the ball was on the 5. He's 2 yards in the end zone, so he's illegal contact after 5 yards. So either way, it's a penalty. I mean, it's a penalty. It's not a question of it. Maybe it's a penalty or it could be a penalty. It's a penalty.
But, you know, right, and I don't like Baltimore, all right? I mean, I like Flacco, some of those guys. That offensive line's great. I don't like their defense at all.
I like Bolden. Jeez.
I can't stand Pollard. He's an idiot. Lewis, an idiot. Reed's a good guy, you know. But the guy gets held. You see the pass. Then someone called up the talk show and said, well, he never would have caught the pass anyway. It was way out of the end zone. Well, if you saw the pass, it landed 3 yards out of the end zone. Right. So the ball's coming from the quarterback that way. What does he think the receiver's going to be? He's going to be right there to catch the ball.
Right.
So when they said they didn't want the refs to change the outcome of the game, that's what they did. That's exactly what they did.
It's like they say, not to decide is to decide. So if you don't call a penalty, then the defense can just hold everybody on the whole play. Especially
that blatant run. You got to call that. But, well, I mean, and again, I could care less.
Right. I mean, I don't think there was any difference in the spread in Vegas or the over-under or anything like that.
No, it wouldn't have changed anything.
So, because obviously if that had happened, then...
They were down 5 then, San Fran. So they would have, anyone who bet Baltimore would have still won.
So,
you know.
But be that as it may, I mean, it was either holding or illegal contact. But earlier in the game, there was a lot to talk about. Flacco was terrific. The 49ers secondary was MIA. I don't know what they were thinking about.
But, Ron, it all comes down to your offensive line. He's got the best offensive line in football protecting him. I mean, when you have that and you have no one touching you, you know, and Against the Patriots, he had no one coming up the middle.
And I haven't really heard much about the hero of the blind side, Michael Orr. I mean, he's the kid who was basically taken out of nowhere, adopted by the family, and ultimately played at Mississippi and became a professional football player. Now he's a Super Bowl champion, and he was the star of that book and movie, The Blind Side.
Yeah, they moved him to right tackle, from left tackle to right tackle this year. I mean, they're huge. Remember I told you I was worried about that against the Patriots? The Patriots would Flacco would have all day to throw the ball.
Right.
Thank God for in the first half, for the offensive coordinator for Baltimore, he kept running the ball, especially when Talib went down. And finally, in the second half, someone must have told him, hey, let's stop passing the ball on first down.
Oh, Flacco had a great postseason. He had 11 touchdown passes, no interceptions, which is phenomenal. And he happens to be the best free agent quarterback out there, and his agent's making noise that he should be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and he may end up being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now, obviously, that's going to take money away from other positions, and the Ravens have other free agents as well, including Reed and, well, somebody said Bolden. I didn't see Bolden's name on the list.
Pollard, too, but he's going to go, I think. He's nothing. Pollard just loves to hit you and hurt you. You know, but, you know, one thing about the difference between Baltimore and the Patriots, on defense they have leaders, and the leaders really want it for them. I mean, I was watching San Fran in key situations. They would set up, I mean, when does Belichick do this? Reed blitzed from the right side one time and got to the quarterback. Another time they blitzed from the left side. When in key situations, they didn't sit back. They blitzed. You know, you got to get rid of the football a lot quicker. Belichick thinks about, I told you, I think he's starting to lose it a little. I mean, his clock management is terrible. And you could see Baltimore, the coaching staff in Baltimore is way better than the coaching staff on the Patriots. You know, you can just see it. You can see how they blitz when they have to blitz. They put the pressure on. I mean, they're more into the game. Belichick doesn't even know who's starting at left cornerback on his friggin' team. Right cornerback.
Well, my sister was at the game, and I forgot to remind her what the water boy always said, Adam Sandler. Mama says football's the devil. So, but I'm sure
did she enjoy herself?
I'm sure she did. She enjoyed the game, and
well, she took it to the Patriots-Baltimore game. How come she didn't take it to the Super Bowl?
Probably because the Patriots weren't involved. But now, obviously, the Patriots have a lot of needs, even though, you know, they go to the AFC Championship. But if you said, you know, are they better than Baltimore or San Francisco? Well, they lost to both teams, and pretty much convincingly so. You know, it's the old strength up the middle. Do they have enough speed at the linebacker position to cover tight ends and running backs up the middle? And do they have a safety who is capable of being a force to be reckoned with, or a scary guy like Pollard in the middle of the field?
Yeah, that's what they need. You know, they call Spikes, but the trouble with Spikes is he can't cover a tight end. He's too slow. You know, that's the problem. Against the run, he's great. Mayo's good against the run. You know, Wilfork, they dominated in the
right.
in the game against
now,
Baltimore.
Fletcher will be coming back, but I don't know if you can expect him to
That's
be
what I was
the
thinking
guy.
about. Fletcher, they'll probably have him in there when the team has a third down. They'll bring him in there and take Spikes out.
And the question of we don't know what Tavon Wilson is going to be or not be.
But Ron, yeah, look what they have in the secondary, though. They have crap back there.
Well, they need it.
Cole coming in when Talib went out.
Yeah, you know, you have to wonder whether it would have been much smarter to put McCourty up there and put Chung back at safety, you know, because when you have Dennard, Arrington, and Cole as your three cornerbacks, including your slot cornerback, that's not exactly inspiring fear in
And why
anybody.
is Chung sitting out?
I don't know.
I mean, he's the hardest hitter on the team. You know, he's an intimidator.
Maybe he was partly hurt. He's always hurt.
Well, that's Talib. You know what I read today? Talib played in 38%.
I saw that.
Can you believe it? Now, I would never sign that guy. And then he comes up with a fake hamstring injury. He didn't want to play anymore.
Well, we'll see what they do in the offseason with him. You know, there's been a lot of discussion. Apparently, there's some feeling the Patriots will take a safety in the first round, and there's some feeling that they'll take a wide receiver.
If they got Reed, they'll be the Super Bowl champs next year. If they got Reed, I'm telling you, he would straighten out that whole backfield. He is so smart. They don't have anybody smart back there. What's wrong with Belichick? You know what gets me too? They say you know, the smartest coach in football. He's had Brady for all these years. He's had a high-powered offense, and he comes up with that crap in the defensive backfield. It's all crap, and he's supposed to be knowledgeable, Ron. I don't even know if he teaches them properly. Everybody says they're not well taught. When he gets a player that's half decent, he has to bring him in from another team. And this is supposed to be the smartest defensive coach in football.
Well, certainly when they look at the teams that have won Super Bowls in the past 30 years, they look at offensive passer rating minus defensive passer rating. And the Patriots haven't been very successful in holding other teams' quarterbacks down. And the game's changed a lot. I mean, it's a wide open game. You have to be able to lower people's quarterback rating by either making them throw short or by causing them to have turnovers. And the Patriots, you know, they were able to do that against the AFC East, but the AFC East is weak. You know, it's just not translatable into postseason right now.
You know, to me, Belichick is pompous. You know, he thinks he knows more than anybody. If anyone who's asked him a question, he thinks is a moron, number one. He never answers the question right. Why don't you call a timeout with 17 seconds ago? Well, you know, I thought we had enough time to line up and run something. Well, you thought you had a timeout enough time. You don't think in that situation you should have it in your head. 17 seconds, we can run 2 plays if I call a timeout right now and then kick the field goal if we don't score. We're in the 10-yard line. Throw it in the end zone. He doesn't think, and Brady doesn't either. Number one, Brady makes a mistake by running.
Oh, well, you call that running? It's not running. Well, I want to ask you about your favorite player, the Patriots' ambassador of goodwill throughout the United States, Rob Gronkowski.
You know what I think about him? He's a real
chowderhead.
Real knucklehead. I mean, he deserved what I'm just going to say this. You know, I'm not going to say why. I'm saying he deserved what happened to him when he broke his arm. Because he's not a nice guy. I know that firsthand. He's not a nice guy, how he treats people, especially females. And I was happy to see when he broke his arm because he deserved it. And that's about all I'm going to say. But he deserved to not play in the playoffs.
Once upon a time, the Patriots were recognized as being insular, as it were, in their organizational desire not to bring in people of low character. Now, obviously, maybe from the owner on down, there's a change in perception of the kind of public relations stance that people are going to have. So they brought in Talib. You know, they've had some other people. You know, Adelius Thomas wasn't the greatest guy. Corey Dillon. You know, the owner's situation is unique to him. But you just wonder what's going on sometimes.
But you know what I realized, Ron? You know, I always thought differently. When they brought in Talib, and they put Talib on the best receivers and kind of shut him down, I says, well, what's one cornerback, one good back safety a cornerback going to do? Because you need 3 or 4 others. But what it does is you shut down the primary receiver, and then you can adjust to the other guys. You can double team or whatever. If you can go one-on-one with the top receiver, you're way ahead of the game. And you saw that with Talib. The problem with Talib is you can't count on him.
Well, when you're playing most teams, you know, even when we're coaching in, you know, lower levels, if we can identify who the other team's star player is and get them under control, we feel like we're going to have a pretty good chance to be successful.
That's right.
You know, and in the same way, now, if you said to me, who are you going to stop on our team that is going to really change the dynamic, it's not so clear because more of the players are at equal level of ability.
Right.
But, you know, there's a lot of potentially interesting free agents. Those applying to the Patriots are that, first of all, Danny Woodhead's their own free agent at running back. They have Dwayne Bowe, Mike Wallace, Greg Jennings, Danny Amendola, the kid Hartline from Miami. I like him as a possession receiver. I imagine he'll be going back to Miami. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Edelman. Edelman's a free agent, but he's really been hurt a lot. So, you know, he's got to stay healthy. You know, I don't think you can just say, oh, we're not going to pay Welker, you know, $9 million a year, and we'll just put Edelman there. You're going to get the same production. That's a fallacy.
Yeah, I think Welker's gone because what I think is going to happen is they'll have Edelman and they'll have Hernandez as a slot receiver now. They gave him the big money, you know, more than tight ends get. So you may see that. You may see Hernandez go right into the slot, even though he's big. He can run off of that. You know, he's still quick enough. He's tall enough, you know, to break tackles.
Well, he's getting the big
strong.
money, so they're not going to be using him as a decoy. That's
right.
for sure.
So and plus they have what's it, Ballard?
Ballard.
They have
right.
Ballard, the tight end. So that may be their thinking. Gronkowski and Ballard as the two tight ends. Hernandez is a slot back with Edelman. You have Lloyd. So, and you know, I don't know if they'll bring anybody else in, but it's just simple. They need a great cornerback. They need a great cornerback to put on these receivers. You know, Talib was the perfect one. He was big, strong, can run, but he's a knucklehead. You know, you're going to want to pay that money for a guy that played 38% of the downs on defense.
Well, that's
ridiculous.
He's probably the best free agent cornerback there is, and you know, drafting at the 29th spot, they're probably not going to get a impact cornerback
but Belichick should be embarrassed, though, Ron. He should be embarrassed with the teams he's had, and he comes in with those cornerbacks and safety. I mean, Chung, till he got hurt, was good. You know, McCourty's doing all right back there. But they have Cole in there at times and Arrington. That's a disgrace with a team like that and Brady, you know.
Well, a guy, you know, you bring in Cole, he's a free agent from the Jets. You know, he's a very good special teams player, but he's not a frontline NFL cornerback. You know, and people say, well, how do you know that? Well, if he were, he would have been starting in the regular season. There's no big demand for those guys.
But do you have a question about Belichick? I mean, really, what do you think about him?
Well, you know,
Do you think he's a great coach?
Yeah, I do think he's a great coach, but I think that, you know,
Why is he a great coach?
He's a great coach because he's got 3 Super Bowl wins as a head coach and 2 more as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but that's like Pierce was a great player at one time. He was a great player. Now he's okay. He's good. You know I mean, that was back in 2004.
The issues always ends up in the salary cap era. It's designed to keep talent levels somewhat even, because the NFL really doesn't want a team to be successful and win championships every year. They're happy to have new teams coming along, and there are some players who will take short money to play for the opportunity to have a championship, and coaches like Belichick probably can take advantage of that, you know, signing guys for a short-term deal who want to have a shot to win a championship. And people say the Patriots organization is always very professional, very organized, very winning-focused, and for the most part, players have come in from other teams and, you know, been able to toe the line, especially if they had enough veteran leadership, which they have. The problem is your number one asset on the team is Tom Brady. He's getting
35.
older. You see what happens when he is in space and he has to run. He would never say he's a great runner, but he can't even run 3 yards for first down now.
He hasn't put his defense together right. He's got small linemen, Wilfork, and he's got Love. They're all small. So, Ron, just think of this. You're a quarterback playing against the Patriots. You got 2 fatties in front of you, all right? 2 guys that even if they put their arms up as high as they can, are not going to block your pass. Wilfork, I saw him block 1 pass all year. So if he gets to the quarterback once a game, close to once a game, which he doesn't, I mean, that's nothing because the quarterback's looking out there. He's got 2 midgets, you know, rushing up the middle that aren't going to get in his face. And then you got Ninkovich and you got Jones rushing from the outside. Well, what did they get for sacks this year? 7 each in average? Maybe it's around 7 or 8?
Jones had 6 and Ninkovich had 7, I think.
All right, so they get to the quarterback 13 times in 16 games between them. And the other times, they're rushing from the outside, and they're not getting in the quarterback's face. They're out of the picture. They're over here, and one's over here. They're not even in the quarterback's face. So how hard is it to throw against the Patriots?
And if we say that, you know, we're not football experts, but we know the short, intermediate, and long routes. Well, the Patriots have big, bulky linebackers with Mayo, Hightower, and Spikes. So they really don't have speed to be able to cover people on those intermediate and short routes. You know, so you worry guys like Ray Rice coming out of the backfield or Pitt up the middle. They killed the Patriots in the AFC Championship, and even when they didn't complete passes, there were guys wide open. You know, so it's a problem. They need more speed in the middle of the field, and how are they going to get that? You know, I don't know.
Belichick has totally blown it since Bruschi and those guys left. He has totally blown it on defense. He's had Brady. They've put together a pretty good offense. I mean, Brady at one time was the best quarterback in football. Right now, there's probably 5 or 6 I'd rather have over him. Still the smartest, but he just can't do certain things at times. You know, good enough to win a Super Bowl if he had a good defense. you know, and he has that talent on offense. He has a good offensive line, but to come up with these defenses that he's come up with, Belichick, and he's supposed to be a genius on defense.
Well, until further notice, we have to accept the fact that the Ravens are kryptonite to the Patriots. Well, thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching.